The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.
We're so honored to have on the show an incredible singer, songwriter, and guitarist, a rock legend. You might know him from Grand Funk Railroad, the one and only Mark Farner. Mark, thanks for coming on the show.
Good to be here with you, brother. I've been waiting.
You know what? It's so funny, Mark. We were talking, and I've seen you in concert multiple times over the years. But, when you come out with a new album like this, Closer to My Home, and I was listening to the tracks, and you can tell you haven't lost a step. And you launched Grand Funk Railroad all the way back in 1969. Am I correct?
That's right, Eric.
And so it's now you're still creating all this new music. And then you did a remix of, I'm Your Captain, Closer to My Home also. So how are you keeping this rolling, Mark?
Re-record, man. We re-recorded it, every part, but we used the original drum, the tempo map. The tempo map. And then we have people, we have friends that help us out. So Slaughter and I.
Right. Yeah, Mark Slaughter from the band Slaughter, which I know that you co-produced this album along with our mutual friend Mark on this.
That's right. Joshua Egan did the tempo map and played the Ludwig drums that are on this particular track, and it's tuned down. It's back to the old school standard prior to 1953 when Rockefeller changed it to 440 hertz. It used to be 432, Eric.
Right.
I'm an old school dude. I have been in 432 for over 15 years, live and on record.
Well, and I think you're a man who should know, Mark, and I love it that we're getting to see you in your studio because I'm such a huge fan of your guitar playing and everything you've accomplished. But also, you look at the hits that you've had, 5 hits, and you wrote, I think, 80 to 90% of the songs for Grand Funk Railroad. And so now with this new album, I'm assuming there's going to be a big tour coming up this year, right?
Absolutely. My booking agent, Jim Lenz with TKO, and my manager, Avi Steinman, they're putting together this tour where some of the dates where we can set it up, we are going to have the Vietnam Veterans Monument, the wall, accompanying us.
Wow.
So that people can be aware. I had heard about it, Eric, with my ears, and I saw pictures, but it wasn't until I walked up the actual monument in DC that I was overwhelmed with this sorrow.
It's so powerful. And once again, I got to bring this up too, Mark. I mean, your father was a World War II decorated veteran, and also your own mother was one of the first women, I believe, that was actually like riveting and working on tanks.
She was the first woman in the United States to weld on Sherman tanks at Fisher Body in Flint, Michigan.
That's incredible. And so you have the veterans tie in just naturally.
Yes, I certainly do. All my uncles and most of my friends are veterans.
Right. Which also goes back to a lot of your music. And also, I got to bring this up, Mark, because you're not going to. But besides being inducted into the Michigan Rock and Roll Music Legend Hall of Fame, you've also gotten several awards for your Native American heritage also.
That's right. And it's I don't need a trophy from the Rock Hall. I've got the Cherokee Medal of Honor since 2005.
Right.
Lakota Sioux honored me with a prayer quilt. It's more to me when somebody speaks from the heart, and it's a reflection of the people. Where the Rock Hall, it's a reflection of those who own it, and there's no people. There's no concern about what our opinion is as the people that buy this rock and roll. It's only who they pick to go in there. And, people ask me why Why do I think the Grand Funk is not in there? And I just tell them straight up, we don't have that brown ring around our lips, brother.
But I'll tell you what, I was thinking about this, Mark, getting ready for this interview. And once again, growing up listening to your songs, especially even, like American Woman and with Grand Funk's version of Loco-Motion, Heartbreaker. I mean, so many great songs that, are part of the fabric now. You can't go to a wedding or even to a sports event and not hear at least one Grand Funk Railroad song that you're a part of.
That's right. It's American Band. American Woman was the Guess Who.
Yeah, no, yeah, thank you. American Band, which, but I'm saying that, with which also is interesting because that's the name of your band,
Yes,
Mark Farner, American Band.
that's right.
So it
Yeah.
kind of works out all together.
Yeah. And interesting that Randy Bachman and Burton Cummings are back together, and that the Guess Who that was out there touring as the Guess Who without them no longer has legal right to do that.
Right.
Thank
I saw that. I
Yeah.
saw that. But,
Yeah.
for you also, Mark, to where once again, with Grand Funk Railroad and as we mentioned earlier, having seen you, in tour and your book that came out years ago, which as I was telling you before we started the interview, Mark, I think you're going to have to update this book, or there's got to be a documentary and everything else, because that book, I mean, came out in the early 2000s, I believe.
Yeah, that's right, Eric. And I do get a lot of that from people. Why don't you, so I am going to upgrade the book at some point in time. I have talked to a few different people about it.
Right.
We just haven't been able to have the time. I haven't had the time afforded to me. I'm busier than a one-eyed cat watching two rabbits, brother.
Just taking the time to play all these great guitars. And I know also you and I were talking, you do a lot of acoustic shows also, Mark, and certainly, bringing in, the Grand Funk Railroad music, which translates very well acoustically. And I know besides your custom electric guitars that are all sitting there behind you, you're also kind of a fan of Taylor guitars when you're out on the road.
Oh yeah, Taylor, American made, brother, and they sound like it. They are, patriotic when you put it in your hand and tune that thing to 432.
Exactly.
And it,
Exactly.
it's speaking a natural language in a natural tone that actually becomes part of who you are. It's not bouncing off of your bones. It's melding in there, man. It's
Hmm.
increasing the love.
And that's how you get so many great sounds. And listening to this new album also. And once again, I'm your captain. I was listening to that on the way home last night, closer to my home. It's like, once again, dynamic songs. And, once again, with your singing and your guitar playing, I mean, are you playing every day, Mark? I mean, how are you keeping all this going? I know also you brought in your buddy Jim from Ides of March and from Survivor to be on this album as well.
Yeah, Jim Peterick. I do play every day. I try to go back and forth, electric to acoustic, acoustic back to electric.
Right.
And, uh, and that's part of, it's just exercise by reason of use. It's how I keep my voice active. I'm in the barn, I'm singing. I'm out back in a cutting firewood, I'm singing. I just, and let's not forget the shower.
Yeah, except for the acoustics, you know?
Yeah, man.
Well, I remember the last time I saw you live too, Mark, where it was so cool because you actually broke it down for a little while on stage and kind of gave the band a break and did a little acoustic on the stage as well. Are you still doing that also?
Oh, yeah, when the notion hits me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great when you're the leader of the band and you can just do that. I mean, it's not like, as a teenager when you started out with like, Pat Knight and everything, with the early bands. It's like when you formed Grand Funk Railroad, did you have any idea that it would have this kind of legacy and that you would still be playing these hit songs today?
No, pinch me. I mean, whoever thought of there was going to be some classic rock radio back then? All there was the switch from AM, as you know, brother, from
Totally.
AM to FM. And I, that's what I was caught up in. I'm going, hey, this FM is great, man. These guys
Yeah.
are my track 10 minutes, but you know something, Eric? These jocks that I've spoken with over the years have all thanked me for I'm Your Captain, because they said, man, if I needed to take a leak, eat a sandwich, smoke a cigarette, I could get it all done in that song.
But it's such, I mean, it's one of those epic songs. You know what I mean? You know, listening to the lyrics again, you know, as I was last night driving home, it's like, it's just, you know, the lyrics, just everything about it. I mean, just with the sound effects and everything else, you know, obviously you put a lot of thought. To me, it's reminiscent of like Queen with Bohemian Rhapsody, Mark.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Appreciate it so much.
I mean, that's a song that has, you know, and all of your hits have survived the test of time, but also it's got to make you feel good, Mark, to where other rock bands, new and younger rock bands, are taking your, I mean, how many of your songs have been, you know, re-recorded by other bands and artists?
Oh yeah, man. And the ones that I went over and listened to, a guy sent me a link on it. To Sin's a Good Man's Brother, and this young artist Marcus King, that I watched,
Great player.
was a and great singer.
Oh yeah.
And he did it right. I mean, he did it up. That was a great tribute to yours truly, and I love it when that happens. And like when you know, Bad Time to Be in Love. It,
Once again, great song.
there was I can't remember the name of the band. Doggone it. That's another thing that I want to complain about when I get older.
But you know, also, Mark, I was thinking about this, you know, going through your catalog, it's like, you know, and with all of the hits, and I like a lot of the deeper cuts that really weren't even hits personally from Grand Funk Railroad, having had the vinyl and growing up. But for you, when you're sitting at home and you hear one of your songs come on in a movie or in a TV show, that's got to be going, okay, maybe I was onto something.
Yeah, and it's a joy to my soul. It makes me happy because, you know, when you're a songwriter and you're writing,
Right.
you think that every song is a hit. If you didn't think it was a smash hit, why would you even continue?
Well, you know, just like we were talking about with American Band, to where it's like everybody played that song. I mean, it's like going, it's, you know, come on. You know, I mean, it's like now Closer to My Home, that's a little harder one. You know, I don't know a lot of bands that are, you know, I know a few bands over the years that would approach that. Certainly not come to anywhere like Grand Funk Railroad. But once again, you know, your version of Loco-Motion and everything, which really put new life into that song also.
That's right. Yeah, and Todd Rundgren's production on it was you know, it was not.
You've got some good friends, Mark. I mean, between Todd Rundgren and Jim and Mark Slaughter and all these people that want to work with you still, that obviously speaks to your credibility as a rock legend, which you are, that people still want to work with you to create this music.
Thank you for that. And you were mentioning vinyl. This is the vinyl album. It's red vinyl for the collectors out there who I love to have, you know, things that are a little bit different.
Oh, totally.
And this has got my Betty Blue down here. It's a Parker Fly. I've been playing Parker Fly since 1996.
You were one of the early adopters of the Parker Fly.
Yeah, this one has hand wound. That I took the original pickups and I sent them to Pariah in Canada.
Wow.
And they hand wound the pickups that are in her right now, and she speaks so true. I mean, it's like that 4-3-2, man. When you tune that in, and it's got a harmonic that just kind of whistles over the top of that string. Oh, I can't wait to get back to her.
You know, the thing is, though, Mark, you have such a good ear, because a lot of artists, like you were talking about with the 440 tuning, which is, you know, standardized now, but it's like, you know, when you had that different 4-3-2 tuning, it's kind of like with the Buzz Fenton system, you know, where, and, you know, have so many of these instruments to where they've changed up the frets and they've changed up, you know, different nuances, but you still have that ear, Mark.
Thank God. I know some of my friends have got the one that got the enhanced volume thing going on in there. You just turn up the little knob on it. But so far, thank God, I have not needed it. It doesn't keep me from saying, what?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, you played rock for a few days now. You think back to your early high school days, you know, back in Michigan and everything. And it's like, you've played a lot of rock and roll and a lot of guitar. I want to make sure too, for our viewers, with Closer to My Home, Mark, I know it's available on digital streaming, CD, and vinyl, but I understand too that viewers might be able to get a signed copy from you if they go to your personal website, right?
Farner.com. That's right. Absolutely right.
And there's going to be big tour announcements and also more music videos besides the lyric video out, right?
Oh, yes, that's right. We're working on that right now. The next video release, we're kind of doing some final editing on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see you back on tour also, Mark. I mean, the entire album, listening to all the tracks, your voice sounds great. The songs sound great. I'm so glad you did a remix of I'm Your Captain, Closer to My Home also. Just, once again, a legendary song that still holds the test of time, wouldn't you say?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're saying all good things. I like everything you're talking about, Eric.
Well, next time we got to hang out and talk more guitars, because I do like your collection of guitars behind you, and I think we may have something in common there, Mark.
Yes, sir. You got it.
I'll tell you what, Mark Farner, it's so great to have you on the show. Closer to My Home is out now. Be sure to visit Mark's website and get your own signed copy, but also go see Mark Farner and the American Band on tour. You're going to love them as much as I do every time I've seen you live. Mark, keep rocking, okay?
Thank you, Brother Eric. I appreciate it. God bless you. And if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
See you then, Mark.
All right, brother.
The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.